Test, test, test. Testing the audio for our podcast. I guess it works. All right, let's get started here. Welcome, everyone, to the first ever podcast episode here at Undertomb. My name is Javier Hernandez, your host, and what I'm going to be discussing today is going to be about the Paris Catacombs. But before we jump into that and talk about it, let me just explain to all of you what this podcast is, what we do, and a little bit of a background of what we're going to be talking about in the future. So I created Undertomb just to really talk about everything and anything I can find about the paranormal, ghosts, weird things that, involve spirits or just events. We're not a research team. We don't do any science. All we do is just research it online, read about public information, and just talk about it. Share my opinion about it. Maybe bring on hosts, let them talk, to you guys, and it'll be very interesting. I really think this would be a very good podcast series that a lot of people will like because it's really just coming out of the heart. It's really just for chilling, kicking back, but also getting that suspenseful vibe to it. So, lastly, before I continue, I did want to say this and I want to reiterate it. This is just my opinion. Whatever we talk about, whatever we find, it's most likely going to be fiction, but hey, it's cool to talk about, so why not? Alright, so that's a little bit of introduction about Undertomb. And I kind of just want to kick it off with our first conversation here. And the reason why, before I get started as well here, is why I chose Paris Catacombs as number one. Because I really think that place is very interesting. And, there's a lot of secrets behind it. I really like to wonder about what that really is and why. So I don't know too much information about it. I've done my due diligence. I looked on Google. I've asked AI what all this is. So I'm just going to read to you what I found on, I believe it's Gemini from Google. So here's a summary on what they said. The Paris Catacombs are a vast underground holdings that remains of over 6 million people, created in the late 18th century to solve the city's overflowing cemetery crisis. So it seems like there was a lot of dead bodies in the cemetery that was getting overflowed, so they needed to, I guess, place the bones of people somewhere, and I guess they decided underneath the city. Hey, I'm not the architect. I'm not the one that makes decisions back in the 18th century, but that was their decision. Reading a little bit forward here, I guess there's a lot more information. Let me just read what I got here on my other slide as well. The Paris Catacombs are a massive underground place located in the former limestone quarries 65 feet beneath the city, featuring walls of skulls and bones. Obviously, we all know that. But Gemini, they claim it as to be the Empire of Death. Okay, now, if you're going to claim something as the Empire of Death, what does that mean? Is it the place where you put the corpses and the remains of a dead, body? Because if that was the case, you would just go to a cemetery, which they were trying to do here. But here's the skeptic of me. This is why I created this podcast. France is not a large country, but it is pretty large. They could have chosen many areas to put these remains. They couldn't even ask neighboring countries to put these remains. But why underground? What is the significance of putting these remains? Could it be the smell? Could it be the looks? If that was the case, why would you have cemeteries out in the public? You know, one to one doesn't add up. So that is just something that really, very just got me concerned and worried about. Okay, I understand what Gemini says, but doing a little bit more digging, it just doesn't add up to me. But, you know, I'm just weird like that. So let's go to Wikipedia and look a little bit more on what they said. The first thing I saw on Wikipedia said the gate of hell. And that's that's a really great transition to what I want to talk about here in a quick second. But before I do that, it's really just the same information. 1800s, Paris cemeteries. Yeah. And it's just more about like the outbreak that happened. Alright. Yeah, so let me just move a little bit forward on this conversation here. I mean, if you guys want to, there's a lot of this information on Wikipedia. You can always ask Gemini from Google or Gronk from X. But I want to have a conversation where I want to bring up a movie I watched recently. And I really love watching this movie because I'm a big fan of horror movies, but this movie in specific, it has a lot of fiction in it, but fiction that kind of makes a little bit of sense. I don't know. But you guys can tell me in the comments if you think I'm going crazy or am I onto something. So the movie is called As Above, So Below. As Above, So Below is kind of a little bit of a teaser on what the Paris Catacombs is. As above, you're in Paris, above, so below. Below in the Paris Catacombs. So just to give you a little bit of a summary of the movie is where I believe the daughter of a scientist or a researcher was trying to find a specific monument or specific historic text from the past, which led them to the wrong path. It really did. I guess it led them to hell. And why do I think hell is as well in Paris Catacombs? That's one of my theories. One of my theories is I believe hell could be down there, or a door to be down there, just like in the movie. So the movie goes off with someone as a daughter trying to discover a little bit more about what the father was trying to do. So she goes off with a crew, and they obviously have to find a guide or someone that can show them about the Paris Catacombs, show them where to go and how not to get lost. Obviously, with the Paris Catacombs being such a large area with a lot of tunnels, a lot of turns, if you don't have a guy that's knowledgeable about where you're going, you're most likely going to get lost and die. Personally, would I go there? No. Even with a guide? No. I've heard stories of where guides are like, yes, I'll take you, I'll take care of you, but at the end of the day, they bring you to a corner, they rob you, leave you to die. Not worth it. But in this movie, they bring a crew to help them go down to the Paris Catacombs, and things start going south. It gets really bad. They start heading towards deeper in the caves and the tunnels, and I believe they start hallucinating from some sort of experience that they were having down there. Each character was hallucinating a past of theirs, event of their past that was very evil to them, which I believe, since you're down there, you're going towards hell, it's going to want you to feel what hell feels like. But the thing that really caught my eye in this movie was there was a doorway that literally said, I forgot what it exactly said, but it was the doorway to hell. Why have the doorway to hell in the Paris Catacombs? Could it be the remains of so many dead bodies, giving it the energy? Could it be purposely set there from, past people, maybe extraterrestrial, we don't know. But in the movie, they go through the door. Now, once you go through the door in that movie, they experience the same exact world they were in, but the opposite. Everything was flipped. And I believe, why would you go somewhere that seems normal, which would be, I guess, heaven? And wouldn't it make sense of the opposite of heaven being normal would be flipping it and you're in hell? So that's where I want to talk to all of you. And here's my theory in this. I really think that Paris Catacombs could be something else other than a cemetery. It could be places where rituals are done, spirits are lingering, and it could be just a haunted place. That movie portrayed it so well, and towards the end, I don't know too much about what their actual terminologies are of the items in the movie, but I do remember that there was a gem. Let's see if I can find it. And that gem, that rock, was able to heal the injuries of the explorers and the crew that were down there. But in order to get to that rock, they needed to find it in hell. Some type of magical, specifically dark magic item like that. Obviously can heal, but what are the consequences with it? And if I were to go there today, would I find that same type of dark magic as well? So that was just one of my conversations I wanted to bring up. Another conversation I wanted to say about this was why, with all the technology we have, going to space, going to another planet, exploring the oceans, building skyscrapers, why not go down there and clean it all up? I'm not being disrespectful to the souls, to the spirits, but we have the technology, we have the equipment. The question is, why not go down there? Bring the remains back up, put it into a museum, put it into a research facility, see what we can learn from these artifacts, these remains. Take pictures of every single wall and corner, have computers analyze it, store it in data. Why not do that? Could the France government be hiding something else? Could it be psyops? Could it be a cover-up? We don't know. Apparently, there's places that have been discovered, and there's places that have not been discovered. Could it be the truth that we think we know how large the Paris Catacombs is? Or are they lying to us and there's doorways to something else? Maybe this was created by extraterrestrial, somewhere from another planet, and they came here and they created some type of technology that we're not aware of, and the governments are trying to hide it from us. That could be another idea, but just wanted to share that with you guys. I will love it if you guys had any type of comment, questions, feedback on what you guys think. For sure, leave it down in the comments. Shoot me a message on Instagram, X, TikTok. I want to hear what you guys think, but that was just a little bit of an introduction, kind of going over of the Paris Catacombs. Very curious to learn more about what that could bring to the future. Maybe, probably still won't do it, but if it gets there, we can always go explore it, see what we can find as well. But Thank you again, you guys, for listening to this podcast. My name was Javier Hernandez. I'm the host of Undertune, and I will catch you guys on episode number 2.